Yo, what's up guys? You got PokeaimMD here with another competitive Pokemon Sun and Moon moveset video guide analysis on how to use Ash-Greninja. Now before we get into this, I just want to say that if you missed any of my previous moveset videos, there's a playlist, the link is down below. I encourage you to check that out if you want to check out maybe some of your favorite Pokemon that I've done. I plan on doing every single Pokemon from Sun and Moon, all the new Pokemon, as well as new forms. As you can see, I'm expanding to Ash-Greninja. That means I'll also be doing Zygarde 50% and complete form. And also I encourage you to follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Those links are also down below. I stream very frequently, and Twitter is a great place to stay up to date. But Ash-Greninja has base 132 speed, base 153 special attack, and base 145 attack. Let's compare that to regular Greninja. So from base 103, it became base 153. Base 103, guys, is 305 neutral max special attack. Ash-Greninja has 405 neutral max, and its speed got jumped up from 377 to 399. Now, in order to get into Battle Bond, into your Ash-Greninja form, what you need to do is actually get a KO with Greninja. So once Greninja gets a KO, it transforms into Ash-Greninja through Battle Bond. Its Water Shuriken becomes 20 base power, and it always hits 3 times. So in order to get this, form on Greninja, you have to get a KO with it. But that's not very hard, considering Greninja is a very fast Pokemon and very strong. So the first set we have is the Life Orb set. Now this set is basically hit hard with your main stabs. Hydro Pump and Dark Pulse are your 2 stab moves. Water Shuriken is there because it gives you priority. Once you become Ash-Greninja, it becomes an extremely powerful priority attack. And then Ice Beam is just there to allow you to hit grass types such as Tapu Bulu, dragon types such as Dragonite, Pokemon like that. Otherwise, Hydro Pump and Dark Pulse are the main moves that you're going for. This Pokemon actually functions extremely well under Rain, because with the Rain boost from, let's say, Pelipper, if you put Pelipper on the team, Pelipper does have Drizzle. Getting up that Rain does allow Greninja's Hydro Pump to hit incredibly hard. And it's not that hard at all for Greninja to actually nab a kill, mainly because your main attack is Hydro Pump. It's incredibly strong. And it's not like you'll die before getting off a Hydro Pump anyway, because usually you're going for Hydro Pump versus Pokemon. Let's say my opponent has a Alolan Marowak on the field. They're going to switch, but I'm going for Hydro Pump. Yeah, let's say they bring in Tapu Fini, which does resist that, but I'm only taking 10% on Life Orb, and Tapu Fini is getting chunked away. So basically the idea of Greninja is get up hazards and chip away at your opponent until you eventually get a KO. You force them in a position where you get a KO and then transform into this Ash-Greninja where you get these monstrous stats. But this is just the main Life Orb set. There are other options which I will be discussing at the end after I talk about the next set. So the next set is actually Specs Ash-Greninja. Specs Ash-Greninja hits ridiculously hard. All you need to do is click Hydro Pump. All you got to do is click Dark Pulse. The fact that Dark Pulse does also have a chance to flinch makes this a very threatening Pokemon. I've actually flinched Toxapex to death, and that's giving me my Battle Bond, be able to transform. Water Shuriken is also your third form of stab, and this is all you really need on a spec set, because the idea of this set is to hit ridiculously hard, be a nuke, and then eventually get a KO and transform back. U-turn is the 4th move. U-turn allows you to wear down Pokemon that want to come in. Let's say your opponent wants to go out to the Tapu Fini, because it does resist Hydro Pump and Dark Pulse respectively. It also resists U-turn, but U-turn gives you some momentum. You can go outside into Magnezone. You can pair this actually with Magnezone and have a sort of Volt Turn combination go on. They actually pair very well together. Considering Magnezone does not appreciate Alolan Marowak, and Greninja just does not care about Alolan Marowak at all. It doesn't necessarily come in for free unless it's on like a Will-O-Wisp or Shadow Bone, or maybe a Bone Meringue if it's like defensive Alolan Marowak. But outside of that, Greninja threatens it out with both of its stabs, and then Pokemon such as Tapu Fini don't really appreciate Magnezone, so it actually pairs very well with Magnezone. Again, using this on a Rain team, very solid, especially for Water Shuriken. Water Shuriken is ridiculously strong after you've become your Ash-Greninja form, after your Battle Bond is activated. But basically, put this thing on a Rain team, hit Hydro Pump, doesn't matter if your opponent resists, eventually you're going to be able to pick up a kill. It's not hard. I want to stress that it's not hard for Greninja to pick up a kill. A very fast Mon, it's a strong Mon prior to becoming Ash-Greninja too. By no means is it a weak Mon at all. and just the fact that it gets that insane boost in attack as well as special attack. Now, there are a few other options I do want to talk about that can all be ran on Ash-Greninja, but I feel like these are just his best. But if you want some side of coverage, Extra Sensory can be run to be able to deal with Pokemon such as Venusaur, to be able to deal with Toxapex, to be able to deal damage to Amoonguss. So on Specs, it can 2-hit KO all of the aforementioned mons. Grass Knot's also an option. It just deals damage to those bulky grounds as well as those bulky waters like Suicune. Just as an example, can hit Gastrodon for a 2-hit KO as well. Surf, if you don't want to miss Hydro Pump. I typically love the power though, because when you're using Greninja and you're using Ash-Greninja, you want to get into the Battle Bond form as quickly as possible. So I prefer Hydro Pump, even though it does have the chance to miss. Obviously, you know, 20% of the chance, 20% of the time you are missing Hydro Pump, but I just prefer that to the power of Surf. And Hidden Power Fire is also an option. You want to be able to hit Ferrothorn, Scizor, for either an OHKO or a 2-hit KO, depending on what set you're running. Scarf can also be ran on this form. I'm not really the biggest fan of Scarf on Ash-Greninja, mainly because why run Scarf when I can run a boosting item like Life Orb to make me hit even harder, or Specs to be a Pokemon that has very, very little switch-ins. I want to stress, guys, that it's very scary facing an Ash-Greninja, because a lot of ways a team can deal with it is before its Battle Bond activates and before it actually becomes Ash-Greninja, and you have to be very, very careful because you pair this thing with something like a Tapu Lele, which is already weakening everything. It doesn't even matter if you resist. Celesteela comes in. Celesteela is taking, like, it's being chunked by Psychic, which is enough for like a Specs Hydro Pump to knock it out after rocks. So you have to be very, very careful when playing this Pokemon. Pokemon like Tapu Fini do check it very well though, but like I said, they do run with partners, they have hazards up, so you have to be really careful when you're playing with this mon. But again, Scarf is an option on this Pokemon if you want to get on out of there. If you're running Choice Scarf, I would probably just run this set. I would honestly just run this set if you're running Choice Scarf. HP Fire is also an option on Choice Scarf if you're playing in Pokebank OU. That way you can weaken Ferrothorn. But I think still Water Shuriken is still very useful even on the Scarf set. Mainly because it just gives you that priority to be able to deal consecutive damage, especially because it's doing 3 hits, always hits 3 times. So Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, U-Turn, maybe Hidden Power Fire or Water Shuriken on the Scarf set if you do want to run that. But I think Specs and Life Orb are definitely its best. Pair this thing with Tapu Koko as well. Tapu Koko deals with the Pokemon that Ash-Greninja does not want to deal with, and vice versa. Ash-Greninja deals with the same Pokemon that Tapu Koko doesn't want to deal with, and that's very similar to Magnezone. Tapu Koko does not want to deal with Marowak, but Ash-Greninja does not care. Dark Pulse and Hydro Pump dealt with Marowak. Fat ground types, if you're not running Grass Knot on your Tapu Koko, fat ground types like Mamoswine. Well, Mamoswine is big, but it's not necessarily fat, but like more so Hippowdon, Gigalith can check you, but they don't appreciate Specs Hydro Pump at all from Greninja. Now, I do want to say that it does have base 145 attack, and it does have good physical attacks as well. I'll show you a few of the physical moves right here. It has Shadow Sneak, it has U-Turn, it has Waterfall, Night Slash. But the thing is, all these moves, they have one thing in common, and that's the fact that they are incredibly weak. The strongest attack you have here is Waterfall at base 80. U-Turn isn't stab, and you don't run Protean on Battle Bond Greninja. You can't run Protean on Battle Bond Greninja's Battle Bond. Shadow Sneak is base 40. Night Slash is base 70. So even when you're transforming into this this giant threat right here, this giant threat with 389 attack with a Life Orb, you're still hitting pretty weak, or you're not really doing too much damage. It's easier for the special set to break through Pokemon than it is for a physical set, and that's just the main difference between special and physical. It also has access to Taunt and Spikes. I wouldn't really use Spikes though on Ash-Greninja. If anything, I use Spikes on Protean, because Protean even forces more switches once they find out it's Protean, and you can spike up on Pokemon like Marowak, because Protean doesn't depend on getting the KO on your opponent's Pokemon in order to transform. Protean just hits hard. Both of them are very, very solid. Honestly, I can't compare either of them, because this one depends on getting rid of your opponent to get this ridiculously strong form, whereas Protean Greninja is hard to switch into regardless. But I would save Spikes to that. And again, I wouldn't really use physical on this set. It doesn't have the best attacks to really abuse it. But outside of that, yeah, I really wouldn't use physical. Unless it's maybe on, not Battle Bond, but maybe on a Protean Greninja. Outside of that, though, I think these are just the main sets that you have. I think Lifeform and Spectre are just his two best sets, and I'll actually be showcasing this set later on today at 4 p.m. Eastern, so if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, that will be on the channel at 4 p.m. Eastern. But thank you everybody for watching. Of course, I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you maybe learned something. Feel free, of course, to leave a like if you want. Always optional. You can subscribe as well. Like I said, feel free to follow me on Twitter and Twitch. The links are down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, friends.